Good morning. I want to share some of my 3 a.m. thoughts with you. I've been thinking about Israel and the slavery. For 400 years, the people of Israel lived in slavery, but it did not seem to affect them much. Yes, as slaves, the taskmaster would beat them at times, but it didn't seem to affect them much. At the end of the workday, they would go back to the settlement, they would eat, and they would have children. It is what they did. And so even though they were in slavery and they had taskmasters, it didn't really bother them so much. Many of them had been born into slavery. This is the life they knew, so they were slaves. They were so okay and so all right with this way of living. They knew no other way to live. That they numbered more than the Egyptians after a while. What? No Pharaoh was perturbed because when they were just a group of slaves who were less in number than his people, it was okay. But one day he looked around and he had a nation that was not his under his control. And it messed with his head. He said, these people, if there's a war, they are going to turn against us. We have to slow down the growth of these people. So what he did, he passed a decree that all boy babies born should be killed. Well, there's a lot of details to the story, but I'm not going into the details. I'm just sharing my 3 a.m. thoughts. Because he wanted boy babies killed, a particular boy baby was hidden. And he was hidden in plain sight. In a basket, in the water, probably surrounded by some protective brush, but he was in the water in a basket. And his sister was standing nearby watching for his safety. If Pharaoh had not ordered boy babies killed, we would not have learned about Moses because he would not have been placed on the water. Right? So follow me now. Now Moses is placed in a basket on the water because he's in hiding. And the next major thing that happens is that Miriam, his sister, runs home one day to his mother and says, Mommy, 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 the princess find the baby. You can imagine how Moses' mother felt. But then the sister continued. She said, the princess find the baby and she want to keep him. And then Miriam says, me tell her, say, me will find one Hebrew woman to breastfeed him. So now the immediate danger is past, The mother of the baby is going to breastfeed the baby. Okay? So boy babies, Israelite boy babies or Hebrew boy babies are to be killed. Moses is hidden in plain sight in a basket underwater. The princess finds him when she's going, for a daily bath. Miriam uses her head to ensure that her mother is the one who breastfeeds. Because, princess, breastfeed. How would she breastfeed? So she would need somebody to breastfeed. And naturally, it will have to be a slave. And so Moses sucks the mother's milk. The same mother who prayed to God to save his life, he is now sucking milk. All right? Next major thing that happens is that Moses is a prince. Yes, he's not Egyptian, but he is chosen by this princess as her child. And so he grows up in the palace as a prince. He learns everything that an Egyptian would learn, and he learns it at the level of princehood. And his brother and sisters are slaves. One day, A taskmaster was doing his normal daily duty and was beating a slave. And Moses was passing. And Moses said, you can't do that. And he got into an altercation with this taskmaster. Remember now, Moses is a prince, he's trained in warfare. And so, of course, taskmaster dies. Moses have sent him a prince, but he knows him an Egyptian. So he hides the body of the taskmaster in some sand. Alright? Dog never have 9 puppy. Sometime after, Moses sees 2 slaves battling with us physically. And he goes up and he says, no man, you shouldn't treat your brothers like that. And one of the slaves said, you're going to kill me and hide my body like how you hide the man body the other day. Well, now that it is known, Moses runs away. Moses was a prince, killed a taskmaster, an Egyptian, runs away for his life, and runs into God. Now, do you not know that had Moses not feared for his life, he would not have run away? Do you not see that the Israelites were enslaved for 400 years, but they did not fear for their lives? So they stayed because they did not fear for their lives. Moses feared for his life, so he ran away and he ran into God. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, whole heap of details in this story. We're not going into all the details. So, we know Moses get married and so on and so on. We know all of that, and he now has a father-in-law, and he has property and all these things. But I want to talk about the day when God spoke to Moses through fire, right? And so we know the story. Moses sees a bush burning, but the bush is not consumed, and he goes to look, and God begins to speak to him. And there's something about fire, God is a consuming fire. But the bush wasn't consumed, and we are told that there's a lake of fire prepared for the devil and his angels. So there's something about fire. When Moses leaves there, after God convinces him that, look, I'm not sending you alone, there is help, and he sends him his brother, Aaron. When Moses leaves there, don't you believe that Moses left with fire shut up in his bones? Like, I believe it was Paul who said he had fire shut up in his bones. Sometimes we feel that way there, like there's something locked up in our we want to let out. Well, anyway, Moses must have left there with fire shut up in his bones. In fact, when he got to Egypt, and however he got to Pharaoh, there must have been something about Moses and Aaron, his armor bearer, that caused the people they spoke to actually carry them to Pharaoh. That must have been God's authority stamped on them, because these were really slaves. These were slaves, right? They may have been grown up and years may have passed, 40 years may have passed since Moses was actually a slave. We don't know about Aaron. Where was he all that time? Was he in Egypt all that time as well? I don't know. But there must have been something about them that caused these 2 men to walk in and actually get audience with Pharaoh. And we know this story. We know about the 10 plagues because Pharaoh would not let God's people go. Here's another interesting fact. It was when Pharaoh became indignant that he said, Egyptians not going to look no more straw for no make brick. You know, go find the straw and make the brick and make more than we usually use. It was then that the Israelites started crying out, what is going Lord? And what kind of trouble this Moses can cause? All along they were slaves, but they had been so comfortable that God now had to pull back the curtain for them to see the evil man that was their slave master, because all along they didn't see it. And Moses get the blame. Anyway, all of that happened. So let's go. Israelites comfortable in slavery to the extent that they had babies so much, enjoying themselves so much, that the slave nation now outnumbered the masters. So Pharaoh says, kill all their boy babies. Because of that, Moses was hid in plain sight. Because of that, the princess, the Egyptian princess found him. Because of that, he became a prince. Because he was a prince, he was walking around one day and he saw a taskmaster harming a Hebrew, and he killed the taskmaster. Then now he discovered that it was known, it wasn't a secret, so he had to run away. When he ran away, he ran into God. When he ran into God, many things happened, but the one I want to focus on is that God spoke to him through fire. He left that with fire in his shut up in his bones, and he had to get it out. So he and Aaron, his armor bearer, went to Pharaoh, and then now Pharaoh increased the load of the Israelites, and now they're calling out to God, because what is this Pharaoh? Never always be so, oh, we must find straw and make brick and all of that, right? So they were now under pressure, and they called out to God. Interestingly, this process of freedom started when Pharaoh decided to kill boys. And the process of freedom ended when God decided to kill firstborns. I want to encourage you that God keeps score. Not only does God keep score, vengeance is his. And so, some of we have a heart full up to its throat because of all that has been done to us. But I want to encourage us, God keeps score and vengeance is his. And so, wipe your face, wipe your tears, wash your face, brush your teeth, comb your hair if you can comb. Put on your roll on your lotion, your good up clothes, put a smile on your face. God keeps scores and vengeance is God's. Have a blessed day.